I'm Justin Hayek, investment advisor with PI Financial. Join me on a ride with today's top CEOs. Hear the stories of their greatest achievements and failures. Get the inside on their secrets to investing and the latest on their next big deal. This is Car Ride Confessions of a CEO. Joining me on today's ride is Keith Neumeyer, President and CEO of First Majestic Silver, as well as Chairman of First Mine and Gold. Keith is a pioneer in the mining industry, having founded First Quantum Minerals, one of the largest mining companies in the world, with a current market cap of $14 billion. First Majestic Silver, elevator pitch for those who don't follow the story.
Sure. It's it's the second largest silver producer in Mexico. Mm-hmm. I formed the company back in 2003. We hit the ground pretty hard, acquired our first mine in January 04 actually. By July 06, we had already owned 4 mines. And then over the next 3 or 4 years after that, we started investing in them. And by 2012, we hit 10 million ounces of production. So we went from 0 to 10 million ounces of production in about 10 years. And today we're 3 times that size. We've now got 7 mines and employ just shy of 6,000 people, and it's a pretty exciting situation. I love silver, big silver bull, and we're the purest silver company in the world, and still trying to grow the business.
And how about First Mine and Gold?
The First Mining, it's interesting. I put that company together back in 2014 and got it finally public in April of 2015, and here's I could be blamed for having great timing because when I put First Quantum together back in the 90s and then First Majestic together in the early 2000s, and then of course First Mine and Gold just a few years ago, it was all 3 times it was at the bottom of the market, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer in value. I'm a big believer in what you pay for assets. It's very critical because ultimately, you want to obviously make these transactions that are going to be beneficial to your shareholders.
Absolutely.
And you want your shareholders to make money. That's why we do what we do. If you pay too much for an asset, you can obviously blow yourself up. And in the case of First Mining, we hit the ground hard, as I said, and we bought 8 companies in 15 months.
Wow.
And the lawyers and the accountants were very happy, as you can imagine. But today we've got 25 projects focused on gold. The core projects are in Eastern Canada, pretty well mostly Ontario. And the company has over 10 million ounces of gold to find and exploring and developing. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting. But it takes a long time to build a big company. It doesn't happen overnight.
You raised some eyebrows with some forecasts that you made on price of gold and price of silver. $8,000 gold and $130 silver per ounce. Can you walk me through your thesis in terms of how you derive that number?
Well, when you say raised eyebrows, I'm not. Look at Jim Rickards. He's come up with some pretty plausible reasons why he thinks gold is going to be $10,000 gold. And I buy into those reasons. We've printed so much money. It's just ridiculous. If the governments ever do go through a reset, which I'm a big believer they will, then they're going to, I think, use gold to balance their accounts.
Okay.
And then you're going to need, approximately, according to Rickard's calculations, around $10,000 an ounce gold. So, whether it's $8,000 or $10,000, like, who really cares?
Right.
It's a lot higher than where it is today. And we don't need $8,000 gold to do very well as investors in the sector, but $3,000 gold would just be fine, thank you.
Sure.
But my thesis on silver is quite a bit different than gold. Gold is the granddaddy of all money, and you should have it in your portfolio as a hedge against other currencies. But silver is a very strategic metal, and everything we do, this video that we're doing right now, all these gadgets in this vehicle are all being, they wouldn't work without silver. And you can't mine a Bitcoin without silver. You can't, your electric vehicle won't work without silver. This mining sector just simply will not run without the institutions.
Right.
And the institutions need to have a reason to come in, and that reason is making money, obviously, because that's their job. As long as the institutions continually make money buying Apple or buying the FANGs and their liquid stocks, and they can make their couple percent every quarter, they're happy. And why go buy a mining stock if you can make a couple of percentage every quarter? Even last year in 2017, the market was up 20%. That's a pretty good return for these institutions. And once that changes, then that money flow will come back.
What would you describe your primary role or responsibility as a CEO?
Protecting shareholders. Making sure that the decisions that we make are beneficial to them, and that we're protecting their investment capital.
Okay. So you're often referred to as a great leader, a great CEO. What do you think are some of the attributes and skill sets that a great CEO has to have?
First and foremost, listening. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you have to step back and have to stop talking sometimes, and just listen.
So I want to go back several years to when you first started your career in the finance industry.
I worked for Murray Pesum for about 6 months, who was a famous promoter at the time. And I learned the ropes there, and I went off and then invested in a beer company in St. Petersburg. And this is when the Iron Curtain was falling, and Russia was going through its whole change, and all the assets were being sold off in Russia. So we were looking at this brewery in St. Petersburg, and we put a bid in this brewery. This was 1991. And I had raised a bunch of money for this public company, and I was, the investor relations guy, and I brought in all these people, and I had a whole bunch of my own. I had basically all my own money in it, and by 1992, unfortunately we got told that despite the fact our bid was the highest bid, that some Russian oligarch decided that he wanted to own the brewery.
Sure.
So we unfortunately lost. And we had to put that news release out, and the stock collapsed, of course, down, I forget exactly, but like 80% or something. And I'm sitting there holding the bag, and the board of directors resigned on me as well. So it was terrible. I'm early in my career, but quite honestly, it was the best thing that happened to me, because that company was called Zeal Capital, and I renamed it First Quantum Minerals. And in 1994, I put together the board of directors, and then in 1995, we started acquiring assets, and we bought the Buanamakuba mine in Zambia, Ndola, Zambia, and then we were in production by 1998, and then by 2000, we had 135 million in revenue.
Wow.
With 9,000 employees.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So. Expanding on investing, where are you investing your money right now? Where do you see opportunity?
Well, most of my money is in First Majestic Silver, so I'll have to say silver. It's a very interesting commodity, and as I said earlier, it's a very strategic metal, and everyone should own silver, whether it's in the form of the metal itself or a good miner. People should have a silver exposure for sure, and. Gold, of course, is interesting, but and I dabble here and there. I've got a position in a battery technology company. I've got an interesting position in a marijuana company as well.
Oh, okay.
A startup that just went public a couple of weeks ago. So I dabble in some other stuff, but by a large magnitude, my money's in the resource sector.
Right. So Keith, what is one of the next Cambridge conferences that you'll be attending?
Well, we always attend the conference in San Francisco. This year, I think the dates are October 28th, 29th.
Yeah.
And it's a really good conference. We get to see a lot of our investors. We've got a huge following and a huge shareholder base for both companies in the United States. So it's a very good opportunity for us to see some of our investors on an annual basis, face to face. What
do you think is more important to the deal, or a deal? The people or the project?
It's always the people.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, to my comment, about investing, I always tell investors, always look at the people first. You know, guys like, Robert Freeland, Ross Beatty, Rob McEwen, these guys are, leaders in the industry. And you may not, always win with them.
Sure.
But that they're serious, that they're making a serious effort in bringing value to shareholders. You know that if they screw up, it's going to be based on legitimate reasons. It's not due to laziness. It's not due to bad choices. And there's so many management teams out there that are just moderate management teams that actually don't have a clue how to build a business. And investors have to be very careful. The mining sector is a tough sector. And I think that patience is really the biggest message, and following good teams.
Keith, listen, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
It was
great.
excellent.
Pleasure. It's fun.
Yeah, good. Excellent.